Welcome to the Compassionate Systems Introductory Training happening in Hong Kong.
The real essence of check-in is the care and the respect we extend in listening.
I just want to share, as I was listening, how difficult it is for me not to want to interrupt, want to say something.
It's also, in some ways, in my opinion, the most neglected aspect of leadership. So real listening is the most fundamental process of becoming more aware of a larger reality.
There are 4 ways that we think people typically show up in various different situations. We promote the idea for you to come as a mixture of the explorer and the vacationer. Come with the mental model that you're going to enjoy yourself, you're going to have fun, but the intention is also to learn something new. Be aware, if you're not in that space, you can choose to stay in that space or you can choose to shift. Human beings are naturally designed to be social beings. My feelings and emotion is going to leak into my interaction with them. Their feelings and emotion is going to leak into their interaction with me. The way we show in those spaces are going to affect the social field.
Mental health and well-being has gone down dramatically everywhere in the world, and particularly for young people. Richie is named what he calls the 4 failures of well-being. It's the whole way in which we've organized ourselves as human beings on this planet that is not conducive for human flourishing. One thing is, helping young people finding agency. So having choices about how they want to address things. With compassion, we cultivate the ability to be with the other, no matter what the other is going through, without becoming overwhelmed by it ourselves. And systems awareness is us with a lived experience and a kind of an awareness of what happens in me while I'm in the system that I'm in. This mitigates what Richie calls the failures of well-being. And when we can work with that in a kind of a balanced way, we give ourselves a profound grounding into flourishing, into thriving in this lifetime.
The essence of the ladder of inference. How we become more disciplined at distinguishing what happens from how we think and feel. As we go up the ladder, we have more and more emotional stuckness. And when you come down the ladder, you're increasing your awareness. So what do I mean by increasing your awareness? Gathering more data.
I want to say thank you because I've always known that I'm a very judgmental person, but now I didn't know that I was that judgmental. People start in my head. People have started looking better because I think I've thrown away a lot of glasses based on selected data. So thank you.
We say at the top of the iceberg sits what's called the event. Now, what lies underneath, because these patterns create the event. But what sits underneath that is the underlying structure. The first piece that is broken up into is referred to as your mental model. The next part of the underlying structure is called the artifact.
The underlying structures, which are very subtle. You have to keep thinking about what are the sources of the forces at play? How is reality being shaped? The verb to lead is very old. You're in a position of stability or, say competence, and you're stepping into something it's kind of unknown. Leadership is by its nature an expression of vulnerability. 3 broad areas that characterize that developmental journey. The first has to do with system awareness. A second has to do with the social field idea. How do we create the climates in which we can have deeper conversations, where we really listen to each other, where our conversations deepen our sense of relatedness? And the third, the creative orientation, is when we're participating in bringing something into reality that matters to us. What are you trying to create? What would it look like? How would we know if it was there? Visioning is an imagining process. Just remember, most of the important things in your life that you have created, when you started, you didn't know how to do those either. Over time, you learned how. But they start off with a what. What do I want to create?
咁今朝我就同佢一齊陪佢返學，我問咗一句：你有冇覺得我唔同咗？佢答有，因為即係好短時間，但係個溝通係好深入同埋好 generative 咁樣嘅。我學到一樣嘢就係即係我自己要做另外出條路，我自己要做自己嘅 coach 咯，即係要不斷咁樣去反思。我諗做父母係咁，做領袖係咁。
You have 10 minutes in your circle to use the material to create the tallest possible tower. every social interaction, each person plays a role. In all situations, when you're in a group dynamic, these 4 players show up. Without all 4 of them, you will not get anything done properly. Nobody is ever one position. You are always dynamic and you change positions at all times.
I think people see us as bossy people, but on the positive side for me is, and I'm really passionate because I really care.
僕らは、ムーバーを助ける役割があると思っています。もう一つすごく気配りができる。ただ誤解としては、ビジョンがないとか。
The purpose of the practice is to clarify and expand the elements of your vision. Imagine on my list is, I want to be part of a great team. My coach, who's the partner, then says, if you had that, what would it bring you? You know, we'll create great things in our work. And now my coach asks me a slightly different question. If you had that, would you take it? You may make choices today that really matter to you that will not occur in your lifetime. There's no way to know. But at least you will know you made the choice. It's a fundamental act of being true to yourself.
So for today's grounding, called loving kindness meditation, it's really the idea of feeling loved, extending our love and being kind to one another.
I find it quite strange to imagine looking that person in the eye. I think it might be some kind of a cultural thing that we don't really express love so explicitly or directly.
I'm a doctor by profession, so I felt like I've been an undercover for the last 3 years. You really need to look after yourself, okay? This is the far most important thing, and should be at your top priority, is your own mental and health well-being.
So these are 4 kind of ways, 4 dimensions of wholeness of what we understand system change to be. So the word practice here means just like you would use the word practical. So the basic question in this domain of practice, what are I or we seeking to accomplish? Who is the I or we? Community building. Obviously a big part of our time here is we're building community. The relational space, or the social field, as we talked about on the first day, is a lot of what's kind of orienting us. So a workshop like this is very much about capacity building. So the question here is, how do I and how do we need to grow and develop in order for us to accomplish some of the things we want to accomplish and to sustain the quality of relationship that we want to sustain? The question behind research is, what are we trying to learn that could be helpful for people who are not here?
We are so grateful that the practitioners themselves will be here with us to share their own stories of learning and practice. So these are the 11 presenters who would be here with us today. Let's give all of them a round of applause. With their inspiration and their vulnerability of sharing their stories, hopefully we get a little nudge and the energy to move forward.
When we hold a vision and when we work to clarify the vision, there's a part of our awareness that's always also anchored on what exists now, current reality. This gap is what is called creative tension. This tension is the source of the energy in the creative process. Vision, current reality. Tension seeks resolution. When your life is about problem solving, the best you'll ever get is the absence of problems. The reason creating creative orientation is so important is it reminds us that, well, there's actually things we do want.
Changing the entire school is actually start from ourselves and small projects. We are very in gratitude for this, for the energy among ourselves, or energy among many people come across as well. Like I really get the energy and more energized to practice it within myself and having that energy to move on.
As Catalyst Education Lab, we've been growing the community of practice this year. 2 primary and 6 secondary schools have joined. Schools have actually gone in quite different directions, but falling broadly in these 3 categories: mental health and social emotional learning aspects of both students and teachers. Some has gone into really more exploring into the teaching and learning aspect as a common language and framework for the teacher community to consider school concerns.
日本のコミュニティについて少しだけお話をします。でね、ピーターから教わっていたことっていうのは、もしも教育が変容していくならば、それは先生によるものである。今、年間で多分500人ぐらいの先生と一緒に、いろんなワークショップを1年かけて10回集まるワークショップをやっています。
So I'm hoping that this is the opportunity for us to be one of the first movers of this movement, and I hope we can really bring our vision of creating a better future for our kids.
Shared vision is actually a force. It's not a set of words. It's an energetic field. So if you take a nice, slow, deep breath and just relax your focus. We've been working on many different facets: personal, your wellness, your relationships, your work. Pick one particular facet or aspect of your vision and begin to imagine this as if it exists. What are some images or pictures that'll help evoke the reality of this vision?
It was the feeling of being closely listened to. The second thing was the feeling of maybe not being alone with my thoughts, but having something there that was reciprocal.
The circle is a symbol of equality. Please then come up with 3 words that seems to reflect the voice of the circle.
Our first word was connection, third word was heart, second word is me, which we then decided you could reflect it to we. So me, we, discovery.
So we come up with a very interesting word that is wow-being. It's wow, there's a lot of love. And the second wow will be wow, we know ourselves. We know how to take care of ourselves. So the third wow is here we're full of lots of gratefulness.
The famous psychologist Fritz Perls said this really beautifully many years ago. He said, that which is most personal is most universal. There's no magic formula for building shared visions, but there is this principle. Create conditions where people can connect with what truly matters to them. Make it safe for them to talk about what really matters to them. There will be a lot of differences, but as you do more and more, you start to hear the underlying music, the music of our universality.